Ambassador Zekthara of the Galactic Hegemony adjusted her ceremonial robes one final time as she prepared to witness what would surely be the most routine treaty signing in the galaxy's recorded history. The humans of Sol 3 had been discovered, barely 6 months ago, a primitive species that had only just achieved rudimentary faster-than-light communication. Standard protocol dictated a simple integration treaty, the same document that had peacefully absorbed over 14,000 species into the hegemony's benevolent fold. The human delegation sat across from her in the sterile conference chamber aboard the neutral station orbiting their homeworld. They seemed unremarkable enough. Bipedal, carbon-based, with those peculiar facial features that suggested emotional instability. Their leader, a graying female called Secretary General Martinez, appeared appropriately intimidated by the grandeur of galactic civilization surrounding her. "The terms are quite straightforward," Zekthara intoned, her translation device rendering her melodious hegemonic into crude human speech. "Your species will be granted protected status within the galactic hegemony. In exchange, you will provide the standard tribute of resources and labor, as outlined in subsections 4.7 through 15.2. She gestured to the holographic document floating between them, its text scrolling through thousands of pages of legal terminology refined over millennia of successful conquest. She corrected herself mentally. Integration. The human delegation bent their heads together, examining the treaty with what Zekthara assumed was appropriate reverence. Their primitive translation devices sparked and whirred as they processed the advanced legal concepts. Several humans produced strange rectangular devices and began manipulating them with rapid finger movements. "Take all the time you need," Zekthara said graciously, "though I should mention that the Hegemony Council expects a response within the standard grace period of 6 local rotations." Martinez looked up with what the ambassador's cultural database suggested was confusion. 6 days? For a treaty this complex? "Oh, few species require the full period." Zekthara waved a dismissive appendage. "Most sign within hours once they understand the generous benefits we're offering." The humans exchanged glances that her database couldn't quite interpret. Then something unexpected happened. Several of them began producing the rhythmic exhalation sounds their species used to express amusement. The laughter started small, just a few chuckles from the younger members of the delegation. But it spread, like a viral infection through the group until even the stern-faced Secretary General was struggling to maintain composure. Zekthara's chromatophores flickered uncertainty patterns. Is there something amusing in the translation?" "Oh, there's no problem with the translation," Martinez said, wiping moisture from her eyes. "In fact, it's remarkably accurate. Tell me, Ambassador, has any species ever actually read this entire document before signing?" "Read? Well, naturally they would review the key points, but the full text contains necessary legal frameworks that—" "Because we did," interrupted another human, a male with graying temples who had been introduced as Professor Chen, their chief legal advisor. "All of it, every subsection, every clause, every footnote." He held up his rectangular device. "Took us about 3 hours working as a team." Zekthara's color patterns shifted to deep confusion. 3 hours? The document contains 47,000 pages of the most hilariously transparent attempt at legalized slavery we've ever seen," Martinez finished. "Seriously, this is brilliant work. The way you buried the actual terms under layers of flowery language about mutual cooperation and shared prosperity. It's like watching a masterclass in bureaucratic doublespeak." Professor Chen was scrolling through his device with obvious delight. "My personal favorite is subsection 23.7.4, where you establish that protected species shall contribute their unique biological and intellectual diversity to the greater hegemonic community. That's quite a euphemism for forced breeding, programs, and brain harvesting." The ambassador's translation device made several distressed chirping sounds as it struggled to process human idioms. "There seems to be some misunderstanding. The hegemony offers protection, technological advancement, cultural exchange. In exchange for only 67% of our gross planetary product, unlimited military conscription rights, And the authority to relocate entire populations at will, another human added, consulting his own device. Oh, and let's not forget the clause giving you exclusive rights to our genetic material for scientific purposes. The humans' laughter had subsided into what their database labeled as grim amusement. Martinez leaned back in her chair with the posture of someone settling in for a long negotiation. "Here's what I find fascinating, Ambassador," she said. "You've clearly done this thousands of times, and it's always worked. Species see your big ships, your advanced technology, your offer of protection, and they sign without reading. Because who has time to wade through 47,000 pages of legal text when there are gods from the stars offering salvation?" Zekthara's chromatophores were now cycling through rapid anxiety patterns. "The terms are standard across all member species. The hegemony cannot make exceptions." "Oh, but you can," Chen interrupted, his expression shifting to something the database suggested was predatory satisfaction. "Because we also read the hegemonic charter that this treaty references, specifically Article 12, which grants any species that identifies legal inconsistencies in a first contact treaty the right to demand renegotiation under neutral arbitration." The ambassador's specialized breathing organs seized momentarily. In 14,000 species integrations, no one had ever mentioned Article 12. Most beings didn't even know it existed. "Furthermore," Martinez continued, "our analysis has identified approximately 3,147 direct contradictions between various subsections of your treaty, at least 200 references to legal frameworks that don't actually exist, and one rather entertaining clause that would technically make your own ambassador subject to immediate enslavement upon signature." The human delegation's unified grin was, according to her database, a threat display. "So," Martinez said, folding her hands on the table, "shall we discuss what humanity might actually be willing to offer the galactic hegemony? Because we have some fascinating ideas about mutually beneficial partnership. And I do mean mutual." As emergency alerts began chiming throughout the station and frantic communications poured in from the Hegemonic Council, Zekthara realized she was witnessing something unprecedented in galactic history, a species that had done their homework. The humans were still laughing,